Good afternoon and welcome to this video for the repricer. Now this is one of the most anticipated videos that I think our members have, so I do appreciate you for bearing with me in the first instance, because obviously we've done a lot of work going into this repricer, looking at a lot of logic, what we can do to actually help you keep your prices up and actually recover prices, bring prices up, rather than just the same old boring repricers that match the buy box or drop it by a penny. So anyway, let's get into this one. I'm not going to explain what repricers are. I'm going to actually just look into how we would actually look at getting your repricer rules set up and working with what you need to do. So what we've done here is I've got 3 tabs open at the top. We've got your listings, we've got your rule creation page, and I should also have actually open a 4th. Well, we've got the fact that you've got no rules, so you can see that nothing's going on here. So what I'm just going to do quickly now is quickly pop in some information. So you can see I've done a lot of tests here. Test rule for excluding sellers. Let's go for that one. We're gonna call it description 20% ROI exclude. Let's call it exclude brickers. Quite true to tune. So what you'll see then when you go down is advanced price match strategy. Now this is a section. Again, this isn't all final design, so even though the repricer has been released, I'm going to make it even better user experience. I want to make it so it's faster for you and it's really easy to understand. But what we've got so far is prime and non-prime. So what a lot of you will likely do is match your prime offers, and you will either not match non-prime, or you will price above them by a good 20-25%. Now I'm going to explain why later, but let's say we call this 20% rule, so let's put our min ROI to 20%. We've got some more options down here, so this is starting getting a bit advanced. You can go past them if you just want a 20% ROI, then create rule and off you go. However, some of you, and this is part of the beta testing I've been doing, some of you want some more information. You want more possibilities. So let's explain what these are. Firstly, we've got the buy box winner repricing. Sorry, ambulance just went past. Now this is repricing that happens every single hour. So we fixed it at the moment. I am considering having a little box here that allows us to edit it, but for now we're playing with 2% rule, because I've been doing a lot of look into Amazon's algorithm, and I think 2% it's small, but it's also incremental, and it won't take you straight off the buy box. Let me explain what's going to happen here. So let's say you've got an item that's you're selling a product at £20 and you actually win the buy box. What this does here is in 1 hour, it's going to check again. It's going to say, are you winning the buy box? If you are, great. You've probably got a couple of sales. What we're actually going to do with this as well is raise your price by 2%. So now, instead of being £20, it's £20.40. So you've actually eked out another 40 pence profit. Now, it only sounds like a little bit, but if you get an item that sells quite a lot per day, you could be getting yourself like an extra tenner a day on a single ASIN, and that's if your item's £20. If it's £200, then you've got yourself £4 rather than £4 extra, I should say. Now, where this gets even funner is this starts to compound. So, in another hour, if we've said to Amazon, okay, up the price by 2%, and they're still happy for you to have the buy box at 2%, then we're going to say, okay, you didn't mind last time, let's do it again. So now we're going to up you another 2%. So then you're going to be at what, £20.81. So this actually starts compounding. If you've got less competition on the buy box, you can actually start seeing your price coming up and up and up, up and up and up and up. But with this, ultimately, you will lose the buy box. I'm not going to pretend that we're going to get you from £20 to £30. You will end up losing the buy box. And when you do lose the buy box, we then revert back to your strategy. So we're going to match the price. And then again, if you come around to winning it again, we're going to up you again. We're just going to keep on doing that. I say we can't I've been testing this a lot, and I think hourly is the best way for us to run this one. Obviously, as we look into getting more and more data, I will consider again changes, but for now, hourly is, it's okay. Amazon like to see stable pricing. In all fairness, they don't like to see you moving the price around every 20 seconds. So I don't want to make any potential. I'm not going to call them issues, because it's not issues. It's not like they'll stop you from being the buy box winner because you keep changing the price. But it's just more stable. So that takes us on to the buy box accelerator. Now, this is slightly different. Let's say now we need to consider now that you have an item. Your item is £20. You're competing with a seller. You match the buy box at £20. That seller has now gone out of stock. So you're the only person at £20, but because you match Prime, you matched him. Now, most repricers will leave you at £20. What we do is look at the next competition. So if the next seller is £23, what we'll do there is bump up your price to like, I think it'll bump up your price literally to like £23, £22.99. You can select to undercut or match with a buy box accelerator, so it will. But ultimately, yeah, we'll pull you up to the next seller. It won't have you on an old style price. It will work to. I say these are meant to eke out as much profit as possible. Now, I'm not going to say enable them and off you go, because it's not going to match. It's not going to match your requirements for every single listing. You know, there might be somewhere the buy box rotates a lot, so setting this for the increase is actually going to lose you the buy box. So make sure you fully understand. Maybe set 2 rules up, one for the buy box winner, one for the accelerator, and then see which one you do prefer. Now, we also have snooze settings, because snoozing is key in repricers, purely because if you sell an item, sometimes you can have competitors dropping prices overnight, like late at night. They'll drop the buy box from, say, a tenner to £6. I'm not sure on the. I've read lots of things, whether it's people trying to manipulate stock and then purchase other competitors' stock, and I've seen a lot of stuff like that. So, yes, so we have the timeline. So the timeline will give you your snoozes, and then you can select in. Where was we here? You can select in here whether to actually use the snooze. Most people set 1 snooze. You can actually override the snooze here and create a snooze per rule, but you're going to start going into a bit too in depth if you start having too many different snoozes on different rules. You want to make sure this repricer. I've tried to make it so it's as easy as possible for you to use. A lot of people are coming into this from not using a repricer before, and that's why now I'm going to talk to you about the automations. Now, this is definitely an advanced section. If you aren't sure, come and jump on a ticket. Okay, so that's where we're now going to come into the automations. So in rule automations, now this is where things start getting a little bit advanced. If you're just looking for a base 20% rule, scroll past this, create your rule, and off you go, because this is where things start getting a little bit more advanced. So you can actually set it up now where if you have your rule set to 20%, which we do up here, 20% right, there it is, then inventory age, we can actually set it. If our inventory age becomes 30 days old, we lower it to 15%. Now, I've put this flag in here because you simply can't. There's no rule where you would ever increase the ROI for having old stock, or if you had no orders, you would never increase it. So yeah, this automation section will allow you to select for no orders for X amount of days, if your stock level hits so many units, or if your inventory age hits so many days. So essentially, if you've got aging stock, that's when people start trying to change the ROI, and that's why we've made the automations. Last part we've got here is the seller exclusions. So we actually have a list of seller exclusions. We have a list of the seller IDs here, and we've compiled these. So most advanced sellers, the reason why I have put it in this list is because advanced sellers will be monitoring using like the storefront stalker, and they will actually pull the seller ID. Now, if you like, I can look at changing that to the actual storefront name, or including it, I should say, so you can do both. But I wanted to make sure kind of the users knew this was an advanced move. I didn't want you excluding a seller, for example. Let's say I didn't want you excluding this seller and then wondering why you're not competing on the buy box, because essentially that's what excluding seller will do. You will stop yourself from repricing against that user completely. And the same goes here if you exclude Amazon. So obviously Amazon on certain listings, they just hit the deck with prices. I'm not sure where they get the prices from, but as you'll see here, I've actually got no rule selected at the moment, so I'm just jumping forward quickly. But if I didn't exclude Amazon from pricing, which it looks like at some point here I actually didn't, then I would be missing out on like nearly £2.50, £2.60. Obviously, Amazon aren't going to be rotating the buy box with me, even though it says buy box eligible. If Amazon are on the listing, they're the buy box winners, full stop. There's a few edge cases, but that's typically how it goes. So what I'm going to do is just turn off these automations. I'm going to create the basic rule. We didn't exclude Amazon, nope. Let's exclude Amazon, and we're going to snooze it, and we're going to leave those because I'm going to class those as advanced features. A lot of people are going to be using this repricer like set and forget 20-25%, something like that. Let's create the rule. So our rule has now been created. Sounds like I did a little transition now, but this is all live. Rule has been created. It shows you your ROI guard is 20%. Now I want to show you, let's just refresh this page nice and quick. You'll now see, in addition to having manual updates in the corner, I know this is your first time seeing the repricing listings. When you first log on, you'll see manual updates on all of them. All this means is that you can do what you want with those. You can set the price there, so £8.60. You can set whatever you like. What you can also see is the new rule that we created. And now temporarily, as we are launching, what I'm going to be doing is keeping the calculating option here. Now this is actually a bit of logic from the script I made when building the repricer, so it does make complete sense to me. There's a lot of numbers there. It may not make complete sense to yourself. If it doesn't, just jump in a ticket and we can go through this together. But once you start breaking it down, we can see, oh, actually it's not actually that bad, is it? So you can see buy box winners 8.55, the lowest non-prime's 14.49, which if you use this, you'll see the lowest non-prime, we've excluded Amazon, is 14.49. The lowest prime is 11.11 because again we've excluded Amazon. We are ignoring Amazon. If I go back, edit this rule just to show you it's how it works. Edit this rule, hit save. Refresh the page and go back to test rule for excluding sellers. Now it's saying the lowest prime's 8.55. So if you accidentally leave Amazon unticked, if you don't want to compete with Amazon, then you need to make sure ultimately you exclude them here in the rule. But again, that's the reason why I've kept this on there, because that should bring that should give like alarm bells to basically give you alarm bells. You should be saying, hang on a sec, why is that 8.55 when I know the lowest seller's 11 quid? And again, the reprice will work on this. So even if you're not, if let's say for example, if you're on a listing that Amazon isn't on, but then they come onto it overnight or something, or they come onto it in 3 days, then we don't stick at this price. The reprice is working in the back end. So just make sure that you are aware of what you're doing with excluding the Amazon sellers. So it contains all the information here, your COG, your fees, your VAT, what your profit will be, and what your return on investment will be. As you can see, I've set a 20% ROI. So I haven't set a price guard, which I'm going to talk about in a second. And the repricer is saying, I'm going to set you to 8.55 because that is ultimately 20% ROI. It won't. Let me see if I can find another example here. In fact, no. Let's do this. Let's use this as an example. So although we've got a 20% ROI, it won't just set you to 20% ROI because that's not going to it's not going to help you make any money, is it? You're not going to make much money with that. What it does, it checks the buy box. So the ROI, always remember that ROI is your minimum ROI. We're not saying, yeah, I'm happy to earn 20%, set me to 20%, because ultimately that's going to brick a lot of markets. Now, some items will just be 20%. That's minus 42%. So again, here's a nice little calculator thing here for you. So yeah, 750 works out around 20%. But just because I set you to the 20% rule doesn't mean I'm going to set your price to 750. What we say is, well, buy box is 1171. Let's match 1171. That gives you 92% ROI. So don't be concerned that the 20% ROI means you're just going to hit the deck straight at 20% ROI. And what we can do is using another one, because I've got lots of testers here to go through. As you can see, these are all on manual updates, so the prices are a bit out of sorts, but it's all good testing. Let's go back to this thing, Big Cheese. We've got the price of $8.55 because we are. Let me just refresh this because I'm going to get myself. There we go. So yeah, we got the price of $8.55. However, we paid. Let's say we paid double the price for this. We don't want to sell this for anything less than £9.99. But we don't want to go and make a new rule and set. We don't want to. This is what it would take basically. So you'd have to go to manual price. You'd have to select, say, £9.40. Close. You'd have to say about £9.10. Let's say 35% ROI we wanted. Instead of actually having to go through all this calculation, because that's just going to waste your time, what we can do is enable the price guard. What the price guard will do is then say to Amazon, when they start trying to give us the figures for who the competitors are, we say to Amazon, well, I don't want to sell this for any less than £9.99, so I'm not going any lower than $9.99. You can set a max price, but ultimately, who wants a max price? Tomorrow, if these go up to 500 quid and I've set a max price of 15 quid, then I've missed out on like 400 quid. Obviously, that's not going to happen, and it's not going to happen much. But we can see what happens here with regarding the rule outcomes. So yeah, the price guard is really, really key for. I'd say it's key. So the price guard is a good backup mechanism for when you want to set yourself min prices. If you're happy to go down to say the 20%, then that is okay. But especially when you start bringing in your automations, then I would definitely recommend bringing in a price guard, just because it gives you a bit more understanding then of where the price is going to move to, and it will help you understand what's happening with regards to the prices. Now, I can see all this in the back end myself, so if ever you've got any queries of why something did what, I can see absolutely everything. I'm tracking why certain competitors are moving price. I'm tracking a lot, and you're going to see a lot more developed this side of the repricer. Even in terms of like this front end, you're going to see a lot more data come in. Now we've released this repricer. So we've talked about your rules. We've talked about the snooze. Personally, I believe that's as easy as it is. What we'll finish off with is the bulk applying of your rules. So if you've set your rule up and you know it's your 20% min, and you want to apply it to all of these, but you don't want to go through and set each one individually, then bulk apply rules, select your rule, select all of your listings, and that will apply to all of your listings. And then within 5 or 10 minutes, they'll start being active, and yeah, you'll be off on your way with repricing. It is as simple as that. Now, I know obviously this is going to be a new tool to a lot of people. Not everyone has used a repricer. My communication on the whole is always really, really quick, so don't worry about jumping in a ticket. I'll be able to help you out and see what's going on, and I can explain anything that you need to know. yeah, you'll start seeing some more and more push to this. But for now, this repricer is released. So yeah, let's get repricing.